Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving headfirst into the Silicon War today,
Hmm.
specifically focusing on Intel's, well, their premier offering, the Core Ultra 9 285K desktop processor.
Yeah.
If you're an enthusiast, maybe a hardcore creator or, a gamer who tracks frame times in their sleep,
Yeah.
this chip is definitely the talk of the town right now. We've got a detailed review here, and it positions the 285K not just as like an upgrade, but as a real architectural pivot for top-tier performance.
Right. And our mission today, it's pretty straightforward. We need to cut through some of the marketing noise around this flagship product.
Yeah.
We want to figure out if it truly justifies its spot at the top. And, let's be honest, its premium price tag. For you, listening in, needing to grasp the tech capabilities and the real-world impact quickly, the focus isn't just what it does. It's really about how its core management kind of redefines desktop power.
Okay, let's start with the blueprint then, because this architecture seems to be the whole story. We're looking at a 24-core chip built on Intel's hybrid design, but this is the refined version, right? The next generation.
Absolutely. The raw numbers are 8 performance cores, the P cores built for speed, and then 16 efficiency cores, E cores for background stuff and keeping power low. Now, we assume you listening know the basics of P cores and E cores, but what's really crucial here is the synergy, how they actually talk to each other.
Right, because historically, when you pack so many different types of cores onto one chip, the challenge isn't just the hardware, it's the traffic cop, isn't it? The scheduling, getting the right job to the right core.
Precisely. And the key insight, what we're pulling from the sources, is this heavy reliance on the specialized logic built right into the silicon. It's called the Intel Thread Director. The success of this whole 285K chip really hinges on this director working well. It's not just leaving it up to the operating system to guess which thread goes where. The chip itself is actively feeding information about the workload, its urgency, directly to the OS scheduler.
Okay, so let's say I'm running a demanding game on one screen, and maybe downloading a huge file in the background on another. The thread director is basically making sure the game's critical threads, the latency-sensitive ones, they get instant access to those super-fast P-cores, while the download just hums along quietly on the E-cores.
That's a really elegant summary, yeah. It stops that thing we call thread hopping, which, has caused issues in earlier hybrid designs, stutters, performance dips. This smarter allocation means when you fire up something demanding, those P-cores clocking up to a, staggering 5.7 gigahertz mass, they're completely free to focus on the really heavy lifting.
Let's talk about that speed for a second. 5.7 gigahertz. I mean, I remember when hitting 5.0 gigahertz needed, like custom liquid nitrogen setups. The fact we're hitting 5.7 sustainably on consumer chip, that's pretty remarkable.
It really speaks volumes about the manufacturing process they've refined. That speed is the clearest signal that this is, the top dog. But raw speed, it's just one metric, right? The real benefit is that sustained performance across all 24 cores working together, which leads us perfectly into who actually benefits from all this silicon muscle.
Okay, yeah, let's shift from the nuts and bolts to the actual impact. Performance under pressure. Now, for general computing browsing with tons of tabs, 4K streaming, background apps running, the review says everything feels instant and fluid. But honestly, a good mid-range chip can handle that stuff pretty well these days.
It absolutely can. So the real justification for something like the Ultra 9 285K, it comes when you push it. When you move into that professional territory, this thing is designed to be a creative powerhouse.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, as you say. Content creation. What's the measurable benefit we're seeing over, say, a top chip from a couple of generations back? Do we need more than just it's faster?
We're seeing tangible time savings, quantifiable stuff. The sources point to performance gains that translate directly into, ROI for a professional user. For example, high-res 8K video editing. Using tough codecs like H.265 and Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve, tests are showing rendering time reductions around maybe 20% compared to the last-gen flagship. Now, for someone rendering daily, that adds up. That's hours saved across a single week.
Wow, 20%. That's a powerful metric.
Yeah.
Hours saved is huge. And the multitasking part is key for that productivity too, right? You could be compiling code, running a complex Blender render, and maybe editing another video. And the system reportedly just doesn't bog down.
Exactly. That ability to maintain high throughput consistently, that's the key. The E-cores are busy handling all the background shuffling, the system overhead, which leaves those powerful P-cores totally free to just hammer away at the intense tasks. That parallel processing capability is what really makes it a powerhouse.
Okay, let's address the other massive group buying these high-end chips. Gamers. Historically, sometimes when you maximize core count, you took a hit on single thread speed or gaming latency. Has Intel really cracked that nut, or is that just marketing spin?
That's a fair question, a critical one, especially given history. But the review suggests that trade-off is, well, minimized now, thanks again to that thread director mechanism. In gaming, consistency is everything, right? You want high frame rates, sure, but you really want excellent frame pacing, smoothness.
Meaning low variance between frames, no
Yeah.
jarring stutters or hitches.
Yeah, exactly. So when you pair the Ultra 9 285K with, a capable high-end graphics card, it delivers exceptional frame rates in modern AAA games. But maybe more importantly, it maintains minimal CPU bottlenecks. Those super fast 5.7 gigahertz P cores handle the main game thread brilliantly. While all the other stuff, game physics, audio processing, system calls, get spread across the other 23 cores. The sources really emphasize its strength in multi-threading, ensures what they call silky smooth gameplay, even in those big CPU-heavy open-world games.
Hmm. That combination of raw single thread speed and massive parallel processing,
Yeah.
that is compelling. But let's move beyond just raw power for a moment, because the story often overlooks section 3 in our notes: efficiency and future-proofing.
Yeah, and this is what's genuinely fascinating here. It's a major leap, actually, the improved power efficiency despite this huge performance jump. We sort of used to assume flagship power had to mean flagship heat and energy draw. The 285K really challenges that idea. It's down to that more refined manufacturing process and, again, smarter core management.
So wait, if I'm hearing this right, the efficiency isn't just about like saving a few bucks on the power bill. It actually changes the noise level and the sort of operational comfort of your whole PC.
Precisely. For those of you who leave your systems running 24/7 maybe for remote work, compiling, servers, whatever, that low idle power draw is a huge practical plus. When the chip isn't being pushed hard, the E-cores just sit power handling basic tasks efficiently, which means your big high-end cooling fans don't need to constantly ramp up, leads to significantly quieter operation under light and medium loads. It's nice. Power and quiet are starting to meet at the high end.
Okay, beyond just operational comfort, we need to talk future-proofing. That's always crucial when you're making this kind of investment. What tech standards is the 285K embracing that help ensure it stays relevant for a while?
While it integrates fully with the latest motherboard chipset standards, that's key for longevity. This means full support for DDR5 memory and also PCIe 5.0.
Okay, let's break that down practically. Why does DDR5 matter right now? Is it a big jump?
DDR5 offers significantly higher bandwidth than DDR4. And crucially for gamers and pros, potentially better low latency performance. While DDR4 was fine, DDR5 helps ensure the CPU can feed its incredibly fast cores with data quickly enough. Basically, it prevents memory latency from becoming the new bottleneck in the system.
Gotcha. And PCIe 5.0, it's all about input-output speed, right, for storage and graphics cards.
Yeah.
Doubles the bandwidth compared to 4.0.
It does. And this is vital for the next generation of hardware that's coming online. When you look at these incredibly fast PCIe 5.0 NVMe SSDs hitting the market, or think about future graphics cards that might actually utilize that extra bandwidth. This chip ensures your whole system, storage, graphics, everything can handle that next wave without issue. So you're not just buying a CPU, you're kind of buying into an ecosystem that won't feel outdated next year.
Which brings us inevitably to Section 4, the investment and the caveats. We've established the Intel Core Ultra 9 285K is technically pretty exceptional, but the review acknowledges the elephant in the room, the cost. It sits firmly in that premium price bracket, no getting around it.
Oh, absolutely. And this forces you, the potential buyer, to ask that really critical question. Do my actual workflows demand this level of uncompromising performance, or would I maybe be better served putting that budget somewhere else, like a faster GPU, more RAM, more storage?
Because let's be real. For probably 90% of users, even enthusiasts, a good mid-range chip is perfectly adequate, right? So who, specifically, is the customer that can easily justify this kind of price tag?
It's really the user for whom time is money, literally, or for whom a completely stutter-free, maxed-out experience is absolutely mandatory. So yeah, professionals benefiting from those 20% faster renders, dedicated enthusiasts, competitive gamers who demand the absolute highest, most stable frame rates, zero compromises under heavy multitasking. For them, that guaranteed peak performance makes the cost almost a functional necessity, not a luxury.
Okay, we also need to loop back quickly to that caveat we hinted at earlier, thermals. Heat, even with the review finding temperatures surprisingly manageable, given the speed and core count. You
Right.
still need good cooling, right?
Oh, absolutely. A high-end cooler is still recommended, maybe even essential, for sustained heavy workloads. Look, you're pushing 24 cores, some up to 5.7 gigahertz. While the idle power is low, sustained rendering or intense gaming sessions will generate significant heat. You really need to invest in flagship cooling. We're talking a high-end 360 millimeter AIO liquid cooler, or maybe even a custom water loop if you're serious. If you skimp on the cooler, you're just going to throttle the very performance you paid that premium for. Kind of defeats the purpose.
Okay, so let's try and synthesize all this, bring it together for our final takeaway.
Okay.
The Intel Core Ultra 9 285K is undeniably a powerhouse, no question. The successful implementation of that thread director tech, combined with exceptional speed and really solid multitasking, it seems to establish it as a true flagship achievement for Intel.
Yeah, I think that's fair. If your workflows really demand that uncompromising performance, if you need the sort of peace of mind that comes from having massive headroom for anything, and if you want to ensure your system can handle the next few years of components, like those PCIe 5.0 SSDs, this processor really does represent a next-gen solution. It's fast, it's powerful, and crucially, it seems smarter about its energy use than previous flagships.
Which leaves us with one final, maybe provocative thought for you to consider. Connecting that high performance back to the efficiency gains we talked about.
Right. If this kind of smart core management and low idle power draw can be achieved at this peak performance level, successfully managing 24 cores hitting 5.7 gigahertz, what does that tell us about where desktop computing is heading overall? Maybe this 285K signals a new era, where optimization, not just brute force clock speed, becomes the main driver of improvement generation over generation. It suggests that maybe the old expectation, that flagship power must always mean flagship heat and energy waste. Maybe that idea is rapidly changing. Maybe it's even becoming obsolete.